The first word that is constantly confused on standardized tests is the word cliche. Most students will confuse cliche, and I hope you're taking notes, cliche with the word click. For whatever reason, it happens a lot. A cliche is what they consider a trite, and they will use this word on the test, trite, or they like to say hackneyed, which is HACKNEYED, and we'll say expression. That is something that is stated over and over again, and it becomes overused or overanalyzed. But when they put in a test, most students will confuse cliche with the word click because they don't know the difference. When we talk about the word click, it is considered an exclusive group of people that you hang around. One of the things that we did the last seminar was we took a look at how do you make flashcards correctly. And most students acknowledge that they use Quizlet. But I would say 95% or more students have no clue on how to create a flashcard. If you want to create a flashcard that's going to prepare the brain, the part of the brain, the hippocampus, to retain information, you want to do it like this. The first thing you would do is you would take the word cliche, you'll write it on the index card. Okay. You would then identify cliche with one of the 8 parts of speech. You would then underline a word. A cliche could be one that is descriptive, which will be an adjective. A cliche can also be a noun, which is a person, place, thing, or idea. So we can put it, depends on what use it is. We'll put a noun, and then we'll put an ADJ for adjective. On the same side of the card, you will then write your definition for the word. So if I use the term trite or hackneyed expression, I will write it on the same side. And then on the back side of the card is when you will rewrite the word cliche and you will use the word in a sentence. So once you use the word in a sentence, the part of the brain that stimulates those dendrites and those neurons let you know that if I can use it in a sentence, that means that I have a better understanding of the word. It works every time. To simply put a word on one side of the flashcard and put the meaning on the back, all you're doing is practicing flipping. But when you actually take the time out to make your own cards and come up with the sentence with the word, the brain responds differently because you're going to practice saying that word throughout the day, and now you're using the word correctly. The beautiful part about the human brain, or the brain of the little kids that you will be teaching, is that every time you teach someone something new, you change their brain for the better. The science behind that is that you're with something that you didn't have before. As an example, you hear my voice, you see my face. Immediately, your brain channels that information in. You know that I'm a male, you know I have a beard, you know I'm dark skinned, I wear glasses. My name is Mr. Zach, my last name is Richardson. Before today, you didn't know none of that stuff about me. Less than an hour from now, if we were at Target or Walmart, you see my face, immediately the brain will refer back to when you met me, how you met me, why you met me, what I taught you in that short period of time. So when you learn something new, your beautiful brain will then provide you with the knowledge that you need to be successful. You are not to forget new things. And the way you do that is by constantly practicing what you've learned. That's why we say each other's name. Say your name again. I'm Zach Richardson. And so the brain retains it. And then once you retain the information, you now can use it. And that is just that simple. But if you're not utilizing the things that you're learning in school or in class, then the brain has a tendency, what we call, to dump it. Every night that you go to bed, the brain acts in a way as though you've been recording all day long. And what it does next is it starts to dump, or better yet, edit the stuff that you don't need. If you have not taken the time out to practice effectively, the things that you thought you knew, you really don't know. But when you practice it for a period of time, the brain will store it. And anytime you need it, you can pull it back up. And my objective in teaching is to help you know how to use your brain effectively and how you're going to regurgitate or pull this valuable information up as is needed. Do you guys understand that? If you don't mind, I like to call on my students every now and then. So I called Mrs. Williams, Miss Kendall Williams. Miss Williams, can you kind of regurgitate back to the audience what I just said? If you don't mind, you can surmise or summarize what I just said.
How students will better recall the information when you present it in ways that they'll understand it while making, like, I know in Mr. Moise's class, we often talk about like making connections to like the things that we're talking about. So making or putting the word like in a sentence will help you better understand what you're better trying to understand without just, understanding it by flipping, for example,
Yes.
like you said.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now let's talk about common mistakes that I don't like to get into the black-white thing, but these are things that really surprise me with a lot of college students. If you see the word a lot, A-L-O-T, you need to recognize that's not a word. But so often we say that's a word. I'm saying it again, it is not a word. A lot is always two words that stand alone. On the GK and LSAT, they will throw this word in here on purpose to throw you off. So this is the big one. This is the number one that they utilize a lot. Number two word that they have a tendency to play games with us is between the words can and the word may. Can and may. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Miss Faith Young. Okay, if you don't mind, and guys, remember that we're learning together. No one has all the answers, but I like to call upon my students. So Miss Faith, if you don't mind, can you tell me, what do you think the word can means? What do you think can mean?
Having the ability to do something. Having
the ability to do something. So how about the word may?
Like, I would say like choosing to do that thing, or like following it out and actually making it happen.
Okay, so let me explain this to you guys. Good job. I appreciate you, Miss Faith. Let me say this to you. This is being utilized on the English as well as the writing and the reading part of the test. And I guarantee you'll see it. When you think about the word can, I want you to think about the word able. I am able to do it. That's can. We have been taught wrong that we ask the question, can I go outside? The question should be, can you? Are you able to physically go outside? When you was growing up, and I remember this as a kid, and that was long time ago, is that when we think about the word can, I would ask my teacher, can I go to the restroom? And the teacher would respond, can you? And I think she's trying to be funny. But what she's saying is, do I have the ability once I get to the restroom, can I go or not? And that's able to. The word may is a question. It is asking permission. Whenever you see the word may, write this down, young people, make sure that it's a question form. Can is never a question on any standardized test. Never. And this is one of the ones that get a lot of students in trouble. You write there at the 200 mark, and then you miss this question or two, and now you're at a 198, and that don't cut the mustard when it comes down to passing the test. All right. Number three, the word bring and the word take. Bring versus take. Okay. Bring and take. All right. Mrs. McFerrin, I believe that is. Okay, Miss McFerrin, if you don't mind, can you tell me, what do you think the word bring mean? To bring.
Bring. Like a physical action, like to bring someone a glass of water.
Okay, all right. And then I'm gonna talk to Miss Rashida. What do you think the word take means?
To take something, an object away from somebody.
Okay, now this is real funny because it seemed very simplistic, but I don't want you guys to ever forget this, okay? The word bring, just remember this, bring is when the action is coming towards you. As a little boy, I was always in trouble. Mama said, bring me that belt, boy. That means the action is coming towards you. So anytime you see bring, whether it's in the math, if it's writing your essay, dealing with English or reading, it means the action is coming towards you. Whenever you see the word take, the action is going away from you. Okay? It's bring and take. Again, bring is when the action is coming towards you. Take is when the action is going away. It's like when the garbage is at the side of the road. Bring the garbage in, take the trash out. But this is one of the major ones that have a tendency to get students in trouble on any standardized test, especially GK. Number 4, when we take a look at the word fewer, F-E-W-E-R, versus the word less. Okay, I'm not going to call anybody. We're going to get back because if we do this all day, we'll get stuck. So the word fewer is used for things, write this down. The word fewer is used for things you can count. He has fewer fingers than I. He was once a shop teacher. Fewer. So you can count the fingers. You can count what's going on. That's fewer means things that you can count. Now the word less can be somewhat tricky. Less is things you cannot count. Like we start talking about talent. He or she has less talent than I. Well, I can't really count that. I may make an opinion about someone's talent, but I can't really count that. Or if I said, hey, scholars, we have less than an hour. Does that mean we have 59 minutes, 58, 57, 56? So when you use less with standardized testing, you need to understand that less is when you cannot count and fewer is when you can. Is there any questions right now? Any questions? Okay. And number 5. Number 5 is the word than, T-H-A-N, versus the word then, T-H-E-N. Okay? When looking at the word than, it's a conjunction. So that's part of the 8 parts of speech. So than is a conjunction, which is used for comparison. So whenever we utilize in than, it's based upon a comparison. So make sure you write that down. It's a comparison. Okay? I like tacos better than pizza. I'm comparing 2 products. The word then is an adverb. Okay, write it down, adverb. And it's telling when something happened. I ate, and then I had that itis, and I went to sleep. It tells a position, or better yet, tells when something happened. I ate, and then I went to sleep. It's a point of time. But these right here are 5, or better yet, 10 words that's commonly confused on the test. And now that I've got you warmed up, I'm going to place 3 sets of words on there. I'm going to let you utilize your device to look the words up and then to write a sentence for the word. No, I'm not going to call you out, but I want you to do this little activity real quick. And then I'm going to go over those words and put a list that I would like for you to take with you today. So today we'll get into commonly misused words. Okay? All right, here we go. The first word that we want to talk about is the word commonly. And you say, well, I don't get it. Commonly, how is that confused with any other word? It's commonly. Well, there's another word that 99% of us, and I say people of tan complexion, don't know is the word commonly, C-O-M-E-L-Y. Now, normally we've been taught with the E, drop the E, add the L-Y. And so this will put you in a motion of what we call our adverbs, because most adverbs end with ly. And there's a purpose for that. It tells you how the verb came about. So whenever you're writing, or better yet, doing the English component piece, you can almost assume, be very careful with that word assumption, that when you have a ly, you're referring to an adverb which describes the verb. Mr. Zach is talking, but if I speed up my talking, you would say, Mr. Zach is talking quickly. So the adverb is telling how the verb, the action is being performed. Now, I don't want to assume, but I believe that you guys are very scholarly and that most of you understand the 8 parts of speech. But just in case you don't know them, I would like you to write them down and then spend some time today looking the words up and know how to define them and respect them when writing a sentence. So as we talked about last week, the first one is going to be a noun. So make sure you write them down. If you don't know all 8, write all 8 down. And even if you do know them, still write them down and look them up. You get reacquainted with them. We had a noun, then a noun became it's a pronoun. We had an action word, which is a verb, and we decided to add to it. It became an adverb. We just talked about the beautiful word conjunction, which is based upon what we call these fanboys. So we have our conjunctions, and then I'm going to stretch this out, and we have fanboys. Fanboys goes along with the conjunction family. So I'm going to give you what each letter stands for. Okay. Fanboy is again part of the conjunction family. So the F is the word for. So when you take a standardized test and you see it, especially GK, you see for, you know it's falling in the conjunction family. The word and, A is and. That means you're bringing 2 things together. The N represents the word nor. Okay. The B represents the word but. The O represents or. The Y is going to be yet. And the S is going to be so. Now, I promise you, if you were able to understand the 8 parts of speech, you will have a better time and an easier time reaching your goal score. Okay. Conjunction is actually number 6. I went out of order. So at the bottom, we have the word adjective. And this adjective is going to describe things. Now, you have 8 parts of speech. You can put them in any order you please. But what I'm saying to you is if you build a system with practice, you formulate a part of the brain rather than having that amygdala that says fight or flight. You're afraid of something, so you run from it. You put something in place that protects you. So I like to say noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, adjective, because it relates and it all comes together and it makes sense. And then I go with the longer stretch words with conjunction, and then we have interjections. And then we conclude with the word preposition, preposition. And I beg of you, and I mean that when I say I beg of you, please learn the 8 parts of speech. And when you do, you can beat anybody at this test game. I've been doing this for quite a bit of time. I started young as a Sunday school teacher when I was 16 years old. I just had my 51st birthday 2 weeks ago. I just turned 51. And so I've been doing this long enough to have created a few companies, a few algorithms. I've written about 7 books so far. And what I learned is that whenever a teacher, educator, whatever you want to call them nowadays, develop a test, or when a company develop a test, they have to jack up a part of speech within the system so that when you choose between A, B, C, or D, in most instances, you can determine the right answer just by looking at the answer choices and determine if the grammar is correct. I mean, I can't make this stuff up, guys. And so when you know the parts of speech and you understand the subject verb agreement or subject and predicate, then you immediately know that that answer can't be possible because it's grammatically incorrect. I'm just saying. And so when I'm teaching my students, we cover this first because some of these words will be crossed over in your math when they give you word problems. Less than, greater than. Michelle was riding 7 miles an hour. She wrote 7 miles an hour for 3 hours. How many miles did she ride? So you have to understand the position of words that tell you that it must have been an increase. She's comparing something between less. Don't get me started. But that's how this game works. So you don't have to be the sharpest knife in the book to cut hard when it comes down to passing the test. That's just how it is. But what I beg of you is to take the time out to learn this. I can sit here and talk all day, but if you don't take what I'm giving to you and put into practice, you're going to waste time. And no one likes to waste time. Okay? All right. So just for your edification, I'm going to put commonly back on the board versus the word commonly. So I'm going to have you look those up. The next word that many of us get in trouble, number 2, is the word accent versus the word assent. You will see this on the GK, guaranteed. I've seen it year after year after year. And for whatever reason, they know we don't know the difference and they keep putting it on the test. Another one is the word advice versus the word advise. My favorite one is affect. Get us every time. Versus the word effect.
And that is a common one on the test. I had to stop and say that, Brother Richardson, that is common on the GK.
Yes, and they get us every time. And then here's the reading part that gets us. It's the word illusion versus the word illusion. Okay, so we're going to play a little Jeopardy. I don't like to waste time, but what I would like for you to do is take the time right now and just do the first 3 for me. And again, the way you would do it, you'll write the word down. You'll write down what part of speech it belongs to out of the 8 I just gave to you. You will then define a word. And then if you have index cards available on the backside, you will use the word commonly in a sentence so that you will then be able to practice it over and over again and know what you're doing and what you're not doing. Okay. You will be very surprised of how this word is used in the right context. It's a very endearing word, but if you look at it on a test, it looks like it's spelled wrong because I had never seen this up until, well, I guess 10 years ago, but this commonly is one of the commonly mistakes that happen. And if I was to pay a compliment, I give you guys a context clue. On this call right now, I see some very commonly young ladies on this call, commonly, and that's no disrespect. So I see some very commonly young ladies. So if I said it in my tone, I see some commonly ladies on this call. Your mindset is like, what are you trying to say? But once you look the word up, you'll have a great appreciation. So I'm going to give you 6 minutes to look the words up. So you get 1 minute for definition, 1 minute for a sentence. You may begin now. You have 6 minutes to do the first 3.
ready, please put a 1 or a 2 in the chat so we know that you guys are ready to roll. Let's make it a 1. Put a 1 in the chat when you're ready.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I just gave thought to the fact that time is of essence and we only get 1 hour. I'm thinking I'm in a longer session. So what I want to talk to you about is this first word, commonly. And commonly is one of those words that can catch you off guard. And it deals with, it means pleasant to look at. But if you saw it on a standardized test, yes, commonly, C-O-M-E-L-Y, means pleasant to look at. And for the most part, people never even seen this word. This other word, comeliness, is also an actual word. It's very rare that you will keep the E and go with your L-I-N-E-S. But in this instance, they know that you don't know this and they will slap it on the test. Okay. Commonly is something that happens frequently. The first one is a frequently occurrence. It's commonly for people to assume something. It's commonly for people to regurgitate a old cliche that says it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And I tell all my friends, only my closest friends know this because it makes me laugh when I'm in an arena and I hear people use that statement, and I just have to laugh. The truth of the matter is, and I want y'all to know this, you can write this down, take it to the bank. Whenever you hear somebody say it's not about what you know, it's about who you know, you need to laugh at them internally and say, boy, they need to stop lying. Now, let me explain that to you. The truth is, watch this. It's about what you know. It's about who you know. But most importantly, it's about who knows you. See, in the world of education, if you don't know nothing, you're not needed. If you don't know nothing, no one can help you. They may get you in, but you won't stay in because you don't know nothing. So it's important for you to know what you need to know in order for you to pass this GK. Simply because you know me, I can't do anything for you other than trying to tutor you. But if you don't take the information I'm going to give to you, you just know me. You don't know nothing. So do me a favor and don't repeat that statement, or better yet, that cliche again, because it doesn't work. As we look at what's happening right now with this pandemic, as we look at what is changing, I will say this to you guys and women, ladies and gentlemen, is that you have to understand that education is going to be the new currency. You heard it here first. What's going to separate us is not necessarily about the money I have in my checking account. It's going to be about what I have inside my head and how do I apply it. It's already starting to happen right now. So y'all have to be genuine with that. Y'all have to understand who you are as individuals and take heed to working your behind off every day. We talked about physics during our last session. And I told all those beautiful brains, it was all 3 of those beautiful brains that showed up for the session, was that P is a physics equation, which is P equals W over T. P is the word power. And what we have is work is W. So you have work, and then you have the word time. You build your power by putting the work in over time. You become a very powerful future teacher or future educator by putting the time in. Those professors get in front of that classroom and prepare work for you. You can't just take notes and just throw it in the trash or go home and not utilize it. Your power allows you to put the work in over a period of time through your practice, and you become a very powerful person. I'm going to leave it right there. The first word in line number 2 is the word accent. Okay, you can use accent in two forms. And so when you see it on the test, accent would be utilized to talk about how you have some decor. Your decor deals with decorative. I'm going to accent the room for a fall theme. So I'm going to use my earth tones, my browns, my orange. We say orange, orange. And so we have those to accent. We also utilize accent as a way of how do you enunciate or how do you pronounce your sounds. And so you have a tendency to have your syllables sound a little different. And that's how you accent a word. Okay, so that's the one accent, A-C-C-E-N-T. The other word is ascent. Ascent. Ascent is a climb or a rise. Anytime you see the beginning ascent, is going to say something is going upward. And so, of course, the one that goes down is descent. Or are we saying you are a decent person or decent? And that's going to be word number 6. I'm going to just put it down since we talked about it. I'm going to talk about number 6. You're going to have the word decent, which means to be in order, or the opposite of ascent is descent. So I'm just going to put that for now. So we have accent, how you decorate the core, or how you enunciate your sounds and syllables. And then you have ascent, which means to go upward. Ascent means to go upward. Number 3 is the one that gets most people in trouble. Advice, advise. Okay, here we go. Advice is opinion given. Opinion given as to what to do. As to what to do or how to handle something. Again, I say, advice is opinion given as what to do or to how to handle a situation. The easiest way to think about advice on any standardized test is think about an opinion. If I was to talk to one of my daughters and say, I'm gonna give you some advice about this little boy. Advice is just an opinionated. You can take my advice or leave it. But if I advise you to do something, that means that normally there's going to be consequences if it doesn't get done. I'll use it for an example. Mr. Morris will give you guys some advice on your assignment, okay? But if he advised you that you have to get this many points in order to get your grade, then there's no way of you coming back with rebuttal because you were advised that homework needs to be done and that counts for a certain percentage of your overall grade. He has already advised you of that. So at the end of the term, you get that D or that F grade, that's on you because he advised you. The advice was to do your work, but to advise you, it's a code of ethics that he set for your syllabi, your syllabus. You need to do X, Y, and Z. If you don't follow through, then you're in trouble, and that's your fault. But you will see this on the test. Advice versus advise. Now we're going to get into the word affect versus effect. Even I have a hard time with these two. But one thing I've noticed over the past couple of decades with testing, there's only one way to look at affect. Look at affect from a standpoint of being affectionate, your feelings, how you take it. So affectionate will be affect. And then effect is how you did it, effectively. So the easiest way to look at it is affect is affectionate, effect effectively. Okay, now watch this. Affect is to influence. Okay, I was in love. Okay, and effect is something went wrong. That's the cause that happened. And that's the simplest way to retain affect versus effect. Do you understand that? Miss Rashida, do you understand that? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir, but can you say the way you would explain effect again?
When I explain affect, I think about the term affectionate
No,
because
affect.
And then I talk about effect, I think about effectively. To cause to happen, the result of. And that's how you know the difference between effect and affect. Make sense, guys? Any questions? That is a major player when it comes down to test taking. Whenever you are in a position and you're learning these words, you will want mastery in the words. So off the top of your dome, that beautiful brain of yours, you should be able to use these words fluently. If I was given a topic, Mr. Morris, if you don't mind, ask me a question on any topic, and I'm going to show these young scholars how I can take these few words and make it just pop and expand or broaden their horizon with any subject without even knowing what he's about to ask me. We didn't stage this. So, Mr. Morris, if you don't mind, you can present me with a question.
Okay, what is your viewpoint on leadership?
I would think that leadership can be a comely attribute to something like a very stellar woman who could be considered comely. Leadership is all about articulation as one begins to accent their words and their rhetoric. But in the same time, they want to elevate those who are followers through assenting. But what I have to do is give them, most people, advice. In order for you to be a good leader, you must have certain quality traits. And then I would go further to say, if you want to be a true leader, I would advise them to spend time as a follower so that they can understand what it takes to be a great leader. Ultimately, it will affect them in a very positive way. And the effect of being a good leader, you'll have some amazing followers, but your followers should never stay there. They should desire to be a leader just like you. Now, did y'all see what just happened? Just in the midst of you having to do your essay, I am providing you words that's going to allow your reader to see that you know how to utilize these words effectively, because you guys are very efficacious, which means effectively. But so when you know how to utilize these words correctly, your vocabulary won't find itself descending downward, because you will show the person that's reading your material that you're a very decent writer. And decent means to be in order. And this is not an illusion, because I can make a reference back to biblical allusions. You see what just happened? As a leader. And it's just that simple, but I got to be careful. It requires practice. A physical act, which is a verb, which requires to do, which is an action. And that's what learning is all about. I am so excited to bring y'all lessons, because I want y'all to be able to take some of my pointers and become the best educator in the world. That's my only objective. I want to be the best at what I do. I didn't enter into this arena to be second place. No, your boy wants number one spot. It takes a lot of work to be number one. But any one of you have the capability and the capacity inside of you to be number one. Because I told that story last session too. It's like when you were created, your beautiful mother and fathers, whether you like them or not, came together. You liked each other for a little bit, short period of time. And you were swimming like Michael Phelps, the Olympic gold medalist. And you know what happened? You won. You competed with 13 plus microscopic sperm cells and you won. That makes you a winner. So no matter how tough school become or what problems you have at home, you have to always remember that you're a winner. And you won that race. Let's say that you can't win this race. But you know what? It takes practice. Had you come in second place, you wouldn't be looking at me right now. Had I come in second place, I wouldn't be looking at you. So no matter how tough things become on campus, away from campus, in your relationships, you have to remember that you're a winner. Don't beat yourself up. When you don't know something, I told you, when you want to know something, take the time out and practice. Learn something new every day. When you learn something new every day, you change your beautiful brain. And now your brain is with information that it didn't have before. And I'll be quiet on that note, because this is my passion. And I can go all day long motivating y'all on the importance of being effective leaders and understand the importance of language so that when you take this test, you'll pass it the first time out the gate. And that's my only desire for you guys. The further you're away from your basic studies, the harder it is to pass the test. I would challenge any one of you right now in your level to sit for that test and knock it out. It is so difficult for me to help adults pass when they've been out of school for 3-4 years. I'm not going to lie to you. So if y'all can spend time in a group session, come together, communicate with each other, and study your behinds off and get it out of the way, you will set records and you'll also be prepared. And all you have to do is focus on your class now because you already passed the requirements for licensing. And that's what I want for you. All right. Already versus the word already. Okay. The first already is dealing with an adverb. Okay. This already is going to be like an adverb which deals with previously. And I told you most adverbs end with ly. So this means previously. But most of you guys get this wrong. I've already done it. That means you've previously done it. This already represents prepared. You are prepared. I am all ready for this exam. Ain't nothing going to stop me. I practice, I study, I've been doing my work. I've read Mrs. Zach crazy words. I'm ready for this test. Already means prepared. The already is one part adverb and one part adjective. Okay, that's already. Another one that's really heavy on the test is the word cite, C-I-T-E, okay, which is a verb, versus the word cite, S-I-T-E, which is going to be a noun, versus the word sight, S-I-G-H-T, which means a viewpoint, a vision, sight. So this first cite, C-I-T-E, which is commonly confused on a test, pretty much means to quote. So pretty much when you see the word to in front of a word on a standardized test, it's normally going to be followed with a verb, or it could be followed with a noun. I'm writing this letter to, but if you're writing something to, the writing part is the verb part. To is going to deal with the noun part. You write it to whom? To whom it may concern. And then we get into the whom and the who, which I will say for the next lesson. So cite, C-I-T-E, means to quote. S-I-T-E is a location. And S-I-G-H-T deals with a vision. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and clear this out. And then I'm going to give you guys an assignment where I want you to take some time out and check these words out, because I'm going to try to give you the top 20 mistakes that happens time after time on the test, which will increase your points by 40 points just by knowing these, as well as your parts of speech. So we have alter and alter. We have the word capital versus the word capital. Be aware there's two types of capitals, legislative meetings, and the other one deals with money. We have the word course, versus the word course, C-O-U-R-S-E. And I'm quite sure you guys didn't know there are 4 different meanings or uses for this course. Now, the way you determine is, if it ain't dealing with a rough texture, any other 4, of course, can be used for anything. So this course deals with a rough texture, and all the other 4 has nothing to do with a rough texture. That's the easiest way to recall these 5 different course usage. You have the word console and the word console. And this console has 2 meanings versus this one that has 1. We have the word counsel. This is the big one too on the test. Versus the word counsel. S-E-L. Again, we did the word decent and descent. And then we're going to go with the word device. Versus the word devise. Okay. You got 3 minutes left. Okay. We have the word immigrant. IMGRTE, and immigrant, immigrate, which is going to be IMMIGRATE. And this one is just like bring and take. The E means to go away from a country, and the IM means to come into. So this reminds me of the bring and take kind of theory. And that's how I retain those. The EM means to come, to go away from a country, to go away, and then immigrate means to come to. And I like to compare those to bring and take. Okay. If you guys don't mind, we'll go ahead and try to jot down a few more before the time is up. So we're gonna, can I clear it out? Well, it's being recorded. If you miss them, you go back and watch the video. So I'm gonna clear this out. We have the words, these are 3 words that recently has been placed on the test. Is imminent versus the word imminent. And then you have immanent with IMMANENT. Okay. You have the word fair, FAIR. Okay. And there's 3 meanings for the word fair. Be aware of that. Versus the word fair, which is FARE, that is commonly mistaken. You have the words later versus the word latter. Latter, I didn't say ladder, but latter. And they will do this to you guys. I don't know why. They'll put this one in here. And this is only utilized to climb on. Has nothing to do with this. But they'll do that to you on the test. Okay. You will have, these are common mistakes. You have LOOSE, which is unrestricted or to be free. That's loose versus lose. And they do that a lot on the test. So you have that. We have the word moral versus the word morale. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna stop at that particular point. I'm gonna leave you guys with
one more I wanted you to add. Principle.
Oh yeah.
That one right there. That one.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah, that's the one. You know, I was gonna say that. I was make a joke out of it. I ran into a principal who had no principles, but that's for a different story. But the principal, PRINCIPAL, great one, Mr. Morris. And the word principal is huge in this arena. You can't tell me you want to be a principal when you finish college and expect me to take you serious. When I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna go back and get my raise my bar. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be a principal. PRINCIPLE. All righty then. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So here's my word for the day. I want you guys to understand something that's so important. And what's important is self-love. I want you to take time out today and just tell yourself or write down 5 reasons you love yourself. One of the things that how I began to have a sense of self-love is by liking myself first. If you notice in the word like is a letter K, which means knowledge. Now I'm dark skinned all day long. I can't help it. I got a big old head. I keep it 100. That's why I keep a cap on. Got to hide the big old head, right? But here's the beautiful part about it. Sometimes our external features get us so down on ourselves that we blame ourselves for it. Like I told you about being a winner. It ain't my fault I'm dark skinned. It ain't my fault I got a big old head. It's my mom and my daddy's fault. So we should not allow something that we had no control over to make us feel guilty or feel bad about ourselves. And when you begin to like yourself, you become knowledgeable. You become kind to yourself. When you become kind to yourself, you become kind to others. See, knowledge is power. Like I told you before, when people say it ain't about what you know, they lying. They trying to take something from you. You need to know as much as you can about things and about yourself. But most importantly, like yourself in order for you to begin to love yourself. And if you don't believe me, then I'm telling a lie, or you lying to yourself. Because if you take the K, which is knowledge, out of like, you get the word lie. So do me a favor, young people. Don't lie to yourself and try not to lie to other people. And with that being said, get your practice on. I'm wishing you the very, very best with the work that you have in front of you. And I believe in my spirit that each of you can and will pass this GK, if you put the time in. Okay? Mr. Morris, I want to thank you. I want to thank FAMU for this opportunity. And most definitely, I truly believe in these young lives, these children, as I say. And I say that because everybody is somebody's child, whether we 65, 75, 85, we are someone's child. And so we need to be able to position ourselves to recognize our childish ways. Okay? So I want to say thank you.
Mr. Richardson, thank you as always. Great session. I can't wait for the next session, the last session, where we'll again wrap up with the vocab, but also add in a little math, I believe.
We are doing math. We'll teach you guys the main formulas that you need to know. I will give you 3 websites that will be provided to you where you can get some extended help on it. And then we'll go from there. But yeah, we're going to hit that math real hard next week.
I love it. I love it. So you guys have access to the first one. The second one was on point. But as we always leave our class, I want you to give me your final thoughts about today's experience with Mr. Richardson. Let's start with Miss Faith. One word to describe today's experience. I think Mrs. Faith is frozen.
Yeah.
Let's go to Miss McPherson. One word about today's experience.
Empowering.
Love it. Miss Kendall, one word about today's experience. Ms. Williams.
Enlightening.
Love it. Miss Scott Smith.
Helpful.
All right. Mr. Lawrence.
Informational.
Love it. Miss Thomas.
Insightful.
Awesome. Miss Richardson.
Mm.
Miss Richardson. Okay, let's go to Miss Jackson. Okay, I know we have some. Go ahead, Miss Jackson. Enlightening. Okay. So again, I can't wait for the next visit, Mr. Richardson. Again, part 1 is in the YouTube page for famu.edu. We're gonna, again, this is also recorded, so you have access to it. When you come to class on Wednesday, we're gonna talk about some of these words. So I wanna know, did you go back and research these words? Again, one of our key words was practice. So you got some of the same information on your 240 tutoring. Use your time wisely. The more work you put in, I love that. I love that formula, Mr. Richardson. I love it. All right. So I want you guys to use the formula to put yourselves in the best position to win. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Thank you again. Get your practice on, and I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. Okay.